And away we go. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome one and all to Coffee Talk. It's time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today. We'll take a look at some clips from the news, have a little bit of dialogue with those of you who are able to join us for the live portion. And if you are listening somewhere else and you wanted to join the live portion, you can find us Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Coffee Talk, and Prepper University. That's at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. No felines in the room today. Oh, and by the way, I'll be early tomorrow. I've got another appointment, so I will be early tomorrow, probably noon. I'm thinking noon. So we'll see how that goes. Naturally, I do read through as many comments as I possibly can for the benefit of those of you who are listening and not able to see. And I'll say hello to some of the people that have joined us so far. H12 is here. Helter is here. Donna Beaver is here, who reminds people, thumbs up, like, and share. Please do. Kimberly is here. D-Lo, New York Patriot, Rodney, Raccoon Eyes. Who else? Nature Nerd. Brian is here, Chillin' Dave. And Rodney says, no kitties. No, there's no felines in the room. And remember, we're down to 18 now because I got 2 adopted, but I've still got a long way to go because I've got 6 kittens to work with. And now the shelter that it helped to officiate the 2 adoptions that I did do is giving me a hard time about the kittens because now they're like, oh, well, are they fixed? No, of course they're not fixed. They're kittens. Give me a damn break. I don't have the resources for all that. That's why I'm reaching out for help in the first place. You want my 18 to turn into 54, or you want to help? I'm just saying. Anyways. Oh, and get ready for it. I'm going to climb a mile high up on the soapbox today. All right. I'm going to save it for a minute. About halfway through the podcast, I'm going to climb a mile high up on the soapbox because a pet peeve has just crossed the line this morning, and it involves ScrewTube. You know, ScrewTube messes with me almost every day. This is a brand new one. This one is brand new. You will not believe what they pulled on me this morning. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And Fluke Man has joined us. Glad you could make it. But no, there's no felines in the room currently. Not that I can see anyways. That doesn't mean one won't saunter through. But we'll go ahead and we'll get jumped off here, taking a look at the news. And like I said, stay tuned for, get your popcorn ready now because it's going to be a doozy. You won't believe the crap that they did to me this morning. As we get ready to jump off, this is actually bigger news than anybody might suspect at first. And this is a CNN article. Fact check. Waltz makes false claims about Vance and Trump and Project 2025. Minnesota Governor Tim Waltz, the Democratic vice presidential candidate, I think we all know that by now, has made at least 3 false claims over the last 2 weeks about the Republican vice presidential candidate, Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, and Republican presidential candidate, former President Donald Trump. 2 of Waltz's false claims are related to Project 2025, the Heritage Foundation think tank's detailed right-wing blueprint for the next Republican administration. Project 25 has been the subject of multiple false or misleading claims from Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign this summer. Now, this is extremely significant because this is the first time I am seeing mainstream Mockingbird media stepping forward and saying, yeah, the whole Project 2025 claim is a lie. And furthermore, admitting that the Harris campaign, and quite frankly, the Biden campaign as well, but Biden's no longer running, but the Harris campaign and the Waltz campaign have been flouting that. Remember, that's even in my mail. I showed the mail, my mail yesterday from the Democratic Party, blithering on about Project 25 and how, and it says right there, the real Trump plan for Black America. And that there's only so much you can discredit that. And CNN, of all agencies, who is very anti-right wing, very anti-Republican, and anti-Trump, forced to admit there's no connection. There is no connection between Trump and Project 2025. Trump has said it. The Heritage Foundation has said it, that it's not his. He has his own thing. It's Agenda 47, and it's on his website. But every bit of advertising I hear on the radio, I see in the commercial ads from the Democratic Party, Trump and his dangerous Project 2025. They pound on that and they pound on that. And I'm like, God, there should be lawsuits all over the place for false accusations. And it's it's about time that one of the major news agencies has stepped up and said, okay, yeah, you know what? It is false. There is no connection. And Harris and Waltz need to quit saying it. About time. H12 says it used to be 20 to neuter a cat. Ugh. Don't get me started. And that adds up anyways when I've got like 4. Is it 4? Or 5? 5. 5 more from out of the woods that still need to be TNR'd. And then 6 kittens. Which is why I need the help. The kittens, at least I can give away. You know, I'd rather do it through an agency than just put out an ad and say, yeah, come and get some kittens, because then you never know what the hell happens. And again, I question, are these shelters here to help people or not? Remember, Paws did help me get those 2 adopted, but that morning, someone had left a barrel with 7 puppies in it on their doorstep. They don't know who it was. And as much as it bothers me how irresponsible people are with animals, I have to also wonder, because you have to consider the possibility that that could have been somebody who was just desperate and couldn't get help. Rodney says it has to be pretty bad for the MSN to call out Democrats. No kidding. Country says his first false claim was just calling Vance weird. Nature Nerd says anyone that lies as much as Waltz and Kamala is not qualified to be president. Oh, but they'll get the job, though. Time will tell. Time will tell what happens here. Kimberly says news networks are no more than talking heads reading what the powers that be tell them to say. I seek out alternative news, such as you and a few others. I try. And Johnny is here, late to the party, but glad you could make it. New York Patriot says even if Trump was somehow connected to 25, the only thing the Democrats would double down on is the abortion. Correct. And H12 says sometimes I feel like I'm running a cat shelter. Me too. I think of it as a proxy shelter. They're my shelter cats, my little friends back there that I'm trying to help out. Hey, they're more appreciative than if I was helping people. I'll tell you what, they are more appreciative, and they keep snakes and rodents away from the property. It says here, Waltz claimed in a speech in North Carolina last Tuesday, and quote, and now Trump is trying to create this new government entirely that will monitor all pregnancies to enforce abortion bans. They're going to monitor all pregnant women in the country. Okay, what are they like? This is China now? He made an even more dramatic claim in a speech in Wisconsin. Quote, think about what they're saying in Project 25. You're going to have to register with a new federal agency when you get pregnant. And it fact checks it as false. And this is the first time I've seen a fact check that was accurate. Incredible. Okay, I read that. Just trying to catch up. And again, yeah, huge soapbox moment coming because of ScrewTube messing with me this morning. Yeah, Johnny Future is aware of it. Johnny Future already knows where I'm going with that. Let them wait and see what I'm going to talk about. A whole new ball game for ScrewTube messing with me. It's incredible. Meanwhile, while they're accusing Trump, Johnny says, I guess you don't have a raccoon problem. No, raccoons come through the yard, but there's no interaction. They don't bother each other. They don't bother each other. You know, the raccoons, and they walk by the cats, and the cats ignore them, and you know how it is. As long as there's no conflict. There's no conflicts back there. But yeah, a cat is no match for a raccoon. Full-grown raccoon's like a small dog. Newsweek article: Kamala Harris is blasted by Manchin in Sinema on her filibuster plan. And she does have a filibuster plan. She wants to do away with filibusters. Okay. While you're talking about Trump trying to enforce additional power as president, Vice President Kamala Harris faces pushback from 2 independent U.S. senators after saying that she supports ending the filibuster, hoping that measure would help restore women's federal abortion safeguards. Okay. Yeah, that's the only reason you don't want filibusters anymore, I'm sure. Harris outlined her position while speaking with Wisconsin Public Radio in an interview that aired Tuesday morning, saying that she supports ending the 60-year vote threshold needed in the Senate to pass most legislation. The vice president's stance is fueled by her desire to reinstate abortion protections that were granted to women under Roe v. Wade, which the Supreme Court overturned in 2022. Retiring West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, an independent. There's an independent? Ripped Harris's comments later Tuesday, telling CNN's Manu Raju, I don't know who these people are, shame on her. He also said that Harris's support for ending the filibuster means that he will no longer endorse the vice president in November, despite signaling to CNN last week that he was getting ready to do so. Oh, that reversed his decision. Interesting. She knows the filibuster is the holy grail of democracy, said Manchin, a longtime moderate Democrat who in May flipped to an independent and is not seeking re-election in November. It's the only thing that keeps us talking and working together. If she gets rid of that, then this would be the House of Representatives on steroids. Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema, another former Democrat who registered as an independent in 22, also responded to Harris's comments in a post to X, writing that it was an absolutely terrible, short-sighted idea. Quote, to state the supremely obvious, eliminating the filibuster to codify Roe versus Wade also enables a future Congress to ban all abortion nationwide. Yeah, it could totally reverse. That's a good point. And it goes on to say, Tuesday's interview is not the first time the Democratic candidate has supported ending the filibuster to protect reproductive freedoms. It's more than just reproductive rights. If you can't filibuster for that, you can't filibuster for anything. You can't filibuster for anything. Nature Nerd says their old cats used to hunt birds. The new cat just hunts shrews on occasion. Oh, no. But yeah, that's a terrible idea. That is a terrible idea. As we continue on, one more about Kamala Harris, and you may have seen this. You may have seen this already, and I find this actually to be somewhat suspect, and this is going to be a New York Post article, okay? Because now the Democratic Party is claiming violence, as well as Donald Trump. Shots fired into Kamala Harris's Arizona campaign office. Cops are investigating, and it raises concerns. Shots fired at Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign office in Arizona, police said, a week after a second assassination attempt on former President Trump. Damage from several bullets fired sometime after midnight on Monday was discovered at the Democratic National Committee campaign office near Southern Avenue and Priest Drive in Tempe, the Tempe Police Department told the Post. Quote, no one was inside the office during the overnight hours, but this raises concerns about the safety of those who work in that building as well as those nearby, said Public Information Officer Sergeant Ryan Cook. And there's a picture of a window with a bullet hole in it. There. That's the only image I think I see so far, that picture. It says detectives are currently analyzing evidence collected at the scene, and additional measures have been taken to beef up security for staff and others in the area. Staff workers arrived at the office on Monday and reported what appeared to be gunshots fired through the front windows. It's the second time that criminal damage has been reported at that office in as many weeks. Just after midnight on September 16th, the front windows were shot with what appears to be... Really? Hold on. Are you sitting down? Just after midnight on September 16th, the front windows were shot with what appears to be a BB gun. The shooting comes on the heels of the second attempt on Trump's life. So some punk kid, and here's the front of the office with the crime scene tape. There's one hole here, and there's two dents in the glass. It doesn't look like they penetrated on the door. So from what I can see, it looks like 3 pellets. So some punk rode by on his bicycle at 12:30 a.m. and popped off a couple of shots from his BB gun, and they lose their shit. Am I reading this correctly? H12 said, did anyone see Biden forgot who he was introducing and started yelling, who's next? I did see that. That was when he was supposed to be introducing the Prime Minister of India, and he got upset and turned into angry old man. And Gary Edwards has joined us just in time to see the crime scene at the Democratic. Yeah, at first I was speculating that they could have staged this. They could have staged this, okay? That they could have been like, oh, well, Trump was shot at for real, so let's fake one. And it's the middle of the night, no one's in the office, so no one will get hurt. But then we can act like, ooh, we're in danger. But now it turns out it's a freaking BB gun. It's a BB gun. Oh, God. Oh, I love it. And Country Living invokes a Christmas story by saying you can't have a BB gun, you'll shoot your eye out. Yeah, that's right. That's what Santa told him. You'll shoot your eye out, kid. Ho, ho, ho. Helter says at this point, people still care who he endorses. He's been irrelevant for some time. And Rodney says the powers that be care more about a BB gun shot into a window than actual attempts on Trump's life. Nature Nerd says, are leftists going to riot at the DNC headquarters next? I know. And Gary says, egad, Red Rider strikes. I know, Ohio Silver. I'm serious. That's punk kid vandalism in the middle of the night. I mean, we're talking about Arizona. Somebody's got a real gun. This is ridiculous. And this is the breaking national news story. Somebody fired a BB gun at our building in the middle of the night. I'm sure there's video footage of this somewhere. And I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for the paper boy riding by on his tricycle. Pew, bad people. Pew, pew. Oh, my God. That is hilarious. This is pathetic. This is pathetic. This is what they're crying about. This is what they're crying about. And they're going to beef up security now. They're going to beef up security now because they're afraid of something happening to the staff. Shots fired. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. And Nature Nerd says punk kid BB gun vandalism. Yeah, that sounds to me, I would be looking for some teenager. I'd be looking for some 13, 14-year-old that should have been home in bed, riding around on his bicycle being a punk. That's what I would be looking for. That is hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. My goodness. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Oh no. Oh no. But anyways, and real quick, Gary says, FYI, Screw2 put a warning on your podcast from yesterday. I can't say that word. I can't. I'll leave that up there for a second. I know, and that's why I'm getting on my soapbox, because they've run me through the ringer on that. They ran me through the ringer on this. Okay, Gary. And this is where I'm getting way up on my soapbox. I'm going to be so high up there. I'm going to get a freaking nosebleed. Screw2 put a, oh God, self-extermination warning on the podcast. Okay. Now you might remember yesterday's podcast. We talked about something, for those of you who were here or saw it, we were talking about an incident that took place in Sweden. Chilling, self-hurt. Mm-hmm. That took place in Sweden, where they have a booth now. There's a company that makes a booth that looks like a tanning booth, but it's not for tanning. It's not for tanning. You go in and you press a button and you take a very long nap forever and ever. And we talked about this. I read the news story. Okay? I read the news story. This morning, I get this. Okay, let me pull this up. I'm going to show some emails. I don't know if I can read it. I don't know how much of this I can read. And I got two of these emails. One for Prepper University, one for Coffee Talk. It looks like blah, 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 time for Coffee Talk Live may not be appropriate for a younger audience. And they placed it under, they sanctioned the video. Your content is sanctioned because of certain policies. I can't even read that. Again, apparently I've got to be extremely cautious with wording. All right. And it goes on to explain. I'll leave that up for a minute so you can read it. Okay. Yeah, the Zapanap system, Chillin says. There you go. I'll leave that up there for a minute so you can, if you want to read that. All right. That Screwtube says it violated policies. The implication from them is that I was discussing myself, because this gets a lot more in depth than just sanctions and a strike on each channel. All right. And there's Legends. You're just in time for the soapbox. This is a doozy. So yeah, the Fluke Man gave me some alternative terminology there. Yeah, eraser mate. Remember the eraser mate pen made by Bic? That damn thing never worked right. Anyway, you erase the paper before you erase the ink. So they put sanctions on both channels. Because they implied I was talking about myself. Keeping in mind, these are bots. All right. No one actually looks at anything. And it says, we use a combination of automated systems and human reviews to detect content. I wonder if they have a bot named Human Reviews, because I doubt any person actually ever looks at any video that they do this kind of stuff to me with. And Monkey has joined us. Okay. This is just the tip of the iceberg. All right. It gets so much weirder. All right. Now, hold on. Let me open this next one, because now we're going to use the word eraser. Now YouTube has me on an eraser watch, and they're sending me emails to see if I'm okay. I've got 3 of them so far today. Hi there. We're reaching out because members of the ScrewTube community, including fellow creators, viewers, or staff, have expressed concern for you. Oh my God. Give me a break. Give me a break. And they send me. Oh my God. Nature Nerd says bad stuff's going on in the world and ScrewTube wants to censor it. If it's so bad, why isn't YouTube against it? Yeah, I know. They so they've sent me 3 of these generic auto-generated letters checking up to make sure that I'm still here. All right. And I'm like, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, if I was really on that bandwagon, okay, let's imagine for a second, I'm actually someone who was thinking about erasing, right? A generic, insincere, auto-generated, and by the way, bad syntax. It looks like it's been translated from another language. Could be what pushes me over the edge. Here's a auto-generated bot letter talking about how much it cares about me. I'm supposed to take this seriously? Monkey says, yeah, definitely concerned. Same old message they send to everyone. Exactly. And Johnny says they really care about you. Rodney says ScrewTube can afford to be awful because they basically own the video sharing market. Yeah, they are a monopoly. They are the 800-pound gorilla. You cannot move them. And Nature Nerd says it's insane being censored by robots. We live in a dystopia. We are. We are here. We are here. We are here. So I've gotten 3 of these already today. And they're all the exact same letter saying the same thing. Can you read that last letter? I mean, that last sentence? You're not alone. You're not alone. This letter would make me feel so alone because it's obviously computer generated and it's obviously just a generic, like, insincere letter. And Johnny says, I bet 1,000, not one human is aware of your video. Oh, I can prove that. Because this is not, I told you the other email, the sanctions alone were the tip of the iceberg. The sanctions were the tip of the iceberg. We're not even halfway down yet because this gets weirder. This is going to get weirder. Okay? This is going to get weirder. Now let me close this one out. So they sent the generic letters. They sent out the generic letters. So naturally, I'm going to appeal. This happens almost every day. All right? Almost every day, it's something. Almost every day, it's something. Right? And I get up, I've made the joke about it, and Gary says THX 1138. Good movie. Terrible title, but a good movie. That was a good film. A lot of people have forgotten about that. I get up every morning, and my wife and I, we get up very early. We get up at like 5:30 in the morning, and I go in the bathroom and I start brushing my teeth, and I'm thinking to myself, what has ScrewTube done to me today? I really do, because almost every single day there's something. This is just new. This is just new for me, okay? But every day it's something. So I get I'll leave that up there from Fluke Man so you guys can see it. Usually it's an advertiser strike or something, but no matter what it is, I always do the appeal process because you never know. And usually it's only one channel that gets it, which I've done a video on this. I did a video last year because it demonstrates that there is in fact a double standard. If you have two channels and you're podcasting live on both of them simultaneously with the same title, same description, and listed in the same category, one gets in trouble every day and one doesn't, right? And if you get in trouble on both channels and you appeal, one is overturned and one is accepted. Never stops. Never stops. And Carrick has joined us here today. So naturally I appealed. Okay. So I've got two responses. H12 says you're part of an experiment by ScrewTube to see what it takes to drive a person nuts. And you know what? It is bullying. It is. Because they're torment. I know I'm not the only one. They're doing this to 100,000 people easily. And some worse than others. Some worse than others. Right? It is bullying. It is an intimidation tactic. They're tormenting people needlessly. They're tormenting people. But so appeal for Coffee Talk rejected. After careful consideration, the sanctions are going to stay. Okay? It's going to stay. That's what Coffee Talk says. Oh, but wait. Oh, but wait. We get another one for Prepper University. Remember, same podcast. We're sorry. It appears we may have overstepped our authority. There's your double standard again. Because if it's upheld on both channels, it should be both channels. If it's overturned, it should be both channels, not one and the other, not both. I mean, we're beyond double standards here. We're into triple and quadruple standards. I feel like Snagglepuss. Double standard, triple, quadruple standards, Ethan. After careful consideration, both of these emails came within 60 seconds of the appeal. You watched an hour video in 60 seconds, but if I appeal an advertiser strike, I got to wait days, weeks for a response. I got to wait long enough for everybody to have seen the video, so I can't get any ad revenue is what it is. New York Patriot says they do it to me by removing comments. One of the reasons why I haven't posted a video in years. And Rodney surmises maybe an actual human looked at the Prepper University one. I doubt it. I don't think anybody. I think it's tiers of stacked bots. There is no end. There is no third party. There is no third party, and there is no recourse. There is no recourse. Because I know I talk about this stuff sometimes and people are like, oh, you need to sue. You need to. Oh, really? I've got tens of thousands of dollars and years to waste in court so I can get a feeble apology and not much else. Yeah, that's going to happen. I know that in the Western world, everybody thinks you can run around suing everybody. It doesn't actually work like that in practice. It really doesn't. Legend says, quoting me, I guess, what has ScrewTube done to me today? Wiser words have never been spoken. For real, this cracked me up. It is funny. I mean, I get it. There is humor to be had here. It's sad, though. It's tragic. It's tragic how they treat people. So, again, I don't think anybody has seen it. Nobody's looked at it. Nobody looked at it in 60 seconds or less. That's how fast they respond. And I said the same thing in both of the appeals, because you get a dialogue box. Why do you think this should be appealed? And basically, I said the same thing, paraphrasing off the top of my head here, the same thing in both. I am literally reading current news articles for a podcast. Your bot is misinterpreting what is being said. Said the same thing on both. One's accepted and one isn't. Double standard, because one channel gets hit harder than the other. One is on a different tier of scrutiny, which implies a double standard, triple, quadruple, octuple standard, dodeca standard. Keep going. Oh, man. Which also implies that the system cannot be trusted. I'm supposed to trust this system? To do what? Impede me further? Fluke Man said, I heard the artists experience the same thing with copyright issues, even though everything they uploaded are their own work. Every millisecond of a millisecond. Yeah. And Brian says, even with ScrewTube's double speed feature, they couldn't watch it in 60 seconds. No person looked at it. They just automatically made a decision, is what it is. It's a bot that did it. And Gary says, a lot of my comments disappear minutes after posting, which is why I always copy and save the comments. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing to me. And like I said, I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one. They've got to be doing this to countless people. There are literally millions of channels on ScrewTube. Millions of channels. And the funny thing is, they sit there and they complain. ScrewTube complains they're not making enough from ad revenue. There's just not enough ads to go around. Maybe if you stop impeding channels and kicking them in the teeth and letting them run their channel properly without you interfering with them constantly. You know what I should do? I should contact back their Goodwill watch that they put me on, because it's got a link there for me to click if I want to talk to them, if I need to talk to somebody from ScrewTube, which will probably be another damn bot. It'll be AI again, and tell them that I'm thinking about erasing because they keep interfering with my channels. That's what I should do. You guys won't leave me alone, man. I can't take it, man. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is what I put up with. But like I said, it's almost literally, I kid you not, every day. Almost literally every day. I've probably got at least a half a dozen reviews pending. You know what I mean? But this is a new one to be put on an eraser watch, as it were, for lack of a proper description, out of fear that they're going to get me again. My God, it's insane. Rodney says ScrewTube likely using creative accounting to claim they're making less than they really are. That could be. That could be, because they take the lion's share of the AdSense anyway. You know, you get very little of it, and I get even less because of what they do to me. But that's why I joke that, like, if somebody watched one of the ads, I probably got another 2 cents. That's probably not too far from the truth. That's probably not too far from the truth, because the accounting, trying to figure out what you actually make, it's really complicated to try to figure out. It's really difficult to figure out how that all works. And Chillin says, I hide it well. Yeah, it's frustrating, and it's discouraging. It really is discouraging, because you are being intimidated, and they are bullying you, and it's obvious. So you sit there and you have to ask yourself honestly, what's the incentive if they're gonna be placing stumbling blocks in front of me at every turn? What is the incentive? And really, honestly, the only thing that keeps me pushing forward with putting any kind of content up on the channels is the fact that there are people who watch that are they come every day. They really want to see it. They really want to be involved, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that because I'm certainly not getting any incentive from ScrewTube, monetarily or otherwise. Plus the harassment makes it even harder to deal with. And Kimberly says ScrewTube isn't very smart. They harassed Dan B to the point he finally canceled his channel. They had to be a lot of lost revenue for ScrewTube. They can't handle truth. Imagine is here. He says, I've changed over to watching on Rumble whenever I can, such as with Nerdrotic, because of the limits in the discussions. Yeah. And I've tried Rumble, but there's nobody there. You know, if I put a video on Rumble, 3 people watch it. It seems like a waste of time. I mean, Nerdrotic, I know who that is. He has a large following, so he can bring a large group of people to Rumble. If you can't bring an audience to Rumble, you don't have one there. New York Patriot says we can only hope that Goggle as a monopoly gets broken up and somebody else buys ScrewTube. Wishful thinking. Well, it happened to X. Raccoon says ScrewTube makes no sense. There's a girl who makes millions just for recording herself walking through Dollar Tree. Yeah, see, I'm in the wrong line of work. And Rodney says, does X have the capacity to live broadcast and deliver ad revenue? They can. I was live broadcasting. I was also sharing this to the X platform, but now they stopped me from doing it because they won't let you unless you have X Premium now. And I'm like, I'm not buying something else. It's bad enough I had to pay $500 for the stupid restream that works half the time. And I'm like, oh, I better switch back over to StreamYard, and StreamYard raised their prices. So, I mean, I haven't, well, again, I'm coming out of pocket doing this. And there's only so far you can push it. I'm not like this big nationally syndicated podcast that's raking in the big bucks here. And Nature Nerd says comments about what's going on in Ukraine disappear quite a bit. Doesn't surprise me. Does not surprise me. Does not surprise me. But I warned you. I told you, get your popcorn. Get your popcorn out because this was going to be a doozy. A doozy. As they found a new way to mess with my channel. Hopefully that third well-wisher generic email was the last one. And Gary Edwards, before we move back into the news here, Gary Edwards says justice delayed is justice denied. The tactic to slow down articulate comments from conservatives until the topic has died down. I don't get FB replies until 3 days later. And he means fake. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me either. That doesn't surprise me either. But there we are. There we are. And don't think Rumble won't censor you either. They have their limits too. They have their limits too. They're just not as bad. They're just not as bad. But speaking of things getting bad, let's take a trip to Philadelphia. Have you heard about this? You heard about this going on in Philadelphia? It's been crazy out there. It's been crazy out there. New York Post article. Drag racers turn Philadelphia into a hellscape with dangerous stunts and violence against the police. And that is no exaggeration. More than 200 cars drag racing. Destruction of property, destruction of police cars, firebombs, flamethrowers. I'm not kidding. They are tearing up. Hundreds of dangerous drag racers terrorized the streets of Philadelphia over the weekend. And that's not just this past weekend. This has been ongoing. Setting off fireworks, vandalizing vehicles, and charging at cops trying to rein in the chaos. There were at least 11 illegal meetups across the city between 9:30 p.m. and 4:30 a.m. Saturday night, according to the Philadelphia Police Department, with each drawing between 50 and 200 cars and crowds of even more people. Ample footage from terrified bystanders shows cars doing donuts at intersections that had been set ablaze, cheering people standing close at hand and leaping out of the way of cars in flames, fireworks exploding overhead and amongst the crowds, and cars engaging in high-speed drag racing in the heart of the city. And there's a shot that's kind of hard to see, but it's an explosion in the middle of the roadway with police cars and God knows what else going on there. At one meetup, hooligans, oh wow, there's an old school word, even brought a flamethrower, according to the police, while in several instances, cars attempting to flee drove directly at police officers, in one incident actually striking bystanders. At least 5 police cars were damaged in the chaos and one officer injured. You got 200 cars with fireworks, Molotov cocktails, and flamethrowers, and you're going to send 5 squad cars down there. Yeah. Where's RoboCop when you need him? Quote, there's officers in the car. They're jumping on the windshield. They're physically doing damage. PPD Deputy Commissioner Mike Cram said they don't care about your safety or their own safety. If you've all seen the video with this behavior, they really don't care. It's about how much chaos can we cause. That end quote. Police believe the weekend chaos was an organized retaliation against the city's recent efforts to crack down on drag racing, and that it was coordinated on social media by the same groups of people who have staged recent meetups. So we're moving into Autotopia now. Are we going to go straight up like Fast and the Furious here? Quote, it's playing whack-a-mole. That's the best way to describe it. We hit them in one location, they move to another very quickly. Several arrests were made during the chaotic night, but police vowed that more are imminent as part of their crackdown and will involve officers monitoring social media to head off future meetups. Quote, we have your picture. We're coming for you. Do you think you got away last night? Yeah, I'm betting most of them did, according to Deputy Commissioner Francis Healy. We're coming with search warrants and we're coming with arrest warrants. Yeah, and if you can't find anything, what are you going to do? And there's a little bit of a video clip. I can go ahead and run that if you want to see it. I'll play that without the audio. I'll try to play it. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. And that's downtown. And it looks like Beirut. Oh my goodness. Autotopia. That's what we're going to call it. Autotopia. Who knows where Autotopia is? Where was Autotopia and who was their king? Let's see who's paying attention. The New York Patriots. Yeah, all these hooligans. These young whippersnappers in their fancy cars. Oh my God. Rodney suggests that racing should be done at the track. Yeah, but you got to pay for that. You got to pay for that. Country says sounds like a small town Saturday night. Dragon says this mayor has let Philly run amok. These kids have taken having a good time to another level. And Nature Nerd says who organized the drag racers? And this is nothing new. Okay, this is nothing new. Who has heard of the film Cannonball Run? Who remember the movie Cannonball Run? Anybody? Had a lot of famous people in it. Burt Reynolds starred in it. Cannonball Run. Do you know that was based on a true story? There used to be an actual Cannonball Run that ran cross country in the United States. That was an illegal race, an illegal high-speed multi-state race that they tried to crack down on. And the film is based on stories from actual events from some of those races that they just collaborated into one film. Dom DeLuise and Burt Reynolds, Cannonball Run, they were in the ambulance. I mean, this sort of thing is nothing new, but Philadelphia obviously has lost control. Imagine says we were warned that this is the time when the bad guys would ramp up as much chaos as possible. I expect it will get worse. Yeah, there's plenty of opportunity for it to get worse. Rodney is invoking reefer madness. That was a funny movie. Gary says impound the cars and sell them. Helter says in Futurama, and their king is King Teutonbrow. No. That's not where I was going. And Rodney remembers Cannonball Run based on the round trip of the America IIRC. You're close though by suggesting Futurama. Autotopia was from the Simpsons movie, and Mo the bartender was the king before Autotopia collapsed, and then they reached their current level when they were trapped inside the Dome City, and he was wearing a traffic cone for a crown. New York Patriot says there still is a Cannonball Run. A guy 2 years ago set a new record with a Mercedes disguised as a cord crowned Victoria. Okay, I didn't know they were still trying to do that. But yeah, this is what Philadelphia has been reduced to. People are that bored. They're that bored out there. Or, they've just been getting away with so much that they flagrantly disregard laws and safety at this point. And Tuck says he calls it Ewe Tube, though that doesn't translate to spoken word. Ewe. You got to add some extra 2 W's and 3 E's. Ewe Tube. Ewe. And now to the biggest distraction that's out there. Because that's all this is a massive distraction, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Smoke and mirrors time, but it is important. Smoke and mirrors, but it is important. And that is the Sean Combs lawsuit. Because I guess it's been revealed who they're trying to subpoena for this lawsuit. Okay? And this is a Hyperhive article. List of celebrities named in the Diddy lawsuit. In a legal battle that has captivated public attention, a lawsuit filed by music producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones against hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs revealed a roster of celebrities and influential figures allegedly linked to Combs's activities. Okay, so they've got the breakdown of names of people that they're trying to drag into this lawsuit. It's more important than the names on the list are the ones that have been omitted. Because I sure as hell don't see Oprah Winfrey on here. Okay? But here's the people they're naming in the lawsuit. Prince Harry. So Prince Harry used to attend these parties, apparently. Let's get Prince Harry down here. Cuba Gooding Jr. Does he still have a career? Haven't heard anything from him in a while. But we know who Cuba Gooding Jr. is. Daphne, Joy, and Young Miami. I don't know who these people are. Oh, it says that they're a rap duo. They're from the rap duo City Girls. I still don't know who they are. I couldn't name a song. Lucian Grange and Ethiopia Habtamarum. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. One of them is the CEO of Universal Music Group, and the other one is the former CEO of Motown. Christina Koram, I don't know who that is. Wendy Williams has been left off of this too, because I just saw her picture there, and I'm like, yeah, she's been named also. Stevie J, someone whose name is redacted, another person whose name is redacted, who is called a R&B singer. Bishop T.D. Jakes, yeah, put him on the stand. Put him on the stand so he can say that he was there. So that he can say that he was there to minister. Jesus also used to befriend sinners, fornicators, prostitutes, tax collectors, which is a lie, by the way, because it doesn't say anywhere in the Bible he was their friends. Being willing to speak to these people who came to him. He didn't go to them. They came to him and asked him, can you speak to me? Can you come here? Ministering to them is not being their friends. It never said they were their friends. That's a modern Christian construct, and it's a lie. Steve says P. Diddy is a distraction. That's correct. Fluke Man says you can literally record the disorder and make it part of a movie without having to make one with actors. And Dragon says, how convenient that these women are just now coming out of the woodworks to sue Diddy. They didn't initiate the lawsuit years ago. You see that a lot. You see that a lot. And Tuck says they thought Daphne Joy was a hip-hop model. Maybe. Maybe she was also a model. Who else is on here? Cassie Ventura. It says singer and dancer, Georgia Mass Choir. That's a person? Donald Lawrence, Clark Sisters, Smokey Norfolk, Fareem Muhammad, DeForest Taylor, and Jose Cruz. I don't recognize any of those names. I don't know who these people are. I only recognize a couple of names there. But yeah, I'm just waiting to see if Diddy winds up misusing his shoelaces while in jail. Rodney wants to know, what are they trying to distract us from with the lawsuit? Well, we do have a major election going on. And Warden says, did they subpoena the gap in TD Snakes' mouth? Yeah, TD Snakes. I call them TD Fakes. Gary says, clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here we go, stuck in the middle. Yeah, stuck in the middle again. But it is a distraction. And also, there's a lot of people named here you want to see fall. A lot of people here you'd like to see destroyed. Nobody likes Prince Harry. Nobody that knows anything about the Bible likes TD Jakes. And why isn't Oprah mentioned? How did she sneak out from under this? Why isn't Usher mentioned? Or Pink? How come they're not being drug in? What's up with that? How did they get under the radar? I'm curious. And again, you could make the argument, oh, they're consenting adults. Cuba Gooding Jr., he's a consenting adult if he chose to be part of that type of lifestyle. But there are allegations people were coerced, forced, or drugged, tortured, crazy things. Was he aware of that? Was he aware of that? It makes me think of the old Studio 54. And then New York Patriot says, what's interesting is all of the people that had anything to do with Diddy purging their social media. What do they have to hide? I read that story yesterday. That's correct. Usher, Pink, and I read the Usher story because he claims his account was hacked, and that's why all of his tweets were deleted. Sure it was. With the security detail you have, your account was hacked? Of course it was. Warden says we need to be prepared for the bullshit when the smoke clears. Yeah. And Rodney says those not being dragged in are up to date on their payments to the Democratic Party. Yeah, Oprah sure did make her go-to payment with that, basically advertising campaign for Kamala that she televised, because it sure wasn't a legitimate interview. It sure was not. But with that, we are at the top of the hour. We're at the top of the hour. No felines. No cats came in the room today. Sorry, guys. There's usually at least one, but I guess they're all sleeping peacefully at the moment. And again, I will probably do this early tomorrow because I do have an appointment in the afternoon. It will likely be at around noon Eastern Standard Time. But again, you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk. And if you are catching it somewhere else, you can find the live portion Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless otherwise stated, on Coffee Talk and Prepper University while they're still there. While they're still there, if ScrewTube doesn't because again, it's just a matter of time, it seems. Thank you, everybody who was able to join us here today. As always, I hope you got something out of the conversation. And we will see you again tomorrow.